Good evening, Holyoke Public Schools family, community, and friends. It's your proud superintendent, Dr. Alberto Vázquez Matos, joining you this evening on August 20th of 2020. And I just want to kind of discuss a couple of highlights and some reminders this evening as we continue our planning for reopening our academic year very soon. So, as you know, we have adopted a plan for our school community, which entails more of a remote learning model, but at the same time allowing a cohort of students, what we have designated as priority students, who will require additional services, supports, as well as more of in-person learning. So, as you know, last Friday I did release the plan, and it reflects our careful planning efforts with recognition that we must regularly review and adapt our plan based on the new guidance and feedback from our students, teachers, staff, and families. So thank you for submitting all of your feedback, comments, emails, phone calls, and so forth. We will continue to monitor the health metrics throughout the year to help us make the decisions about whether and when we can bring more students back into school. As you know, the state has released a coded chart that allows districts and municipalities to plan accordingly based on the number of cases that are surfacing in cities and towns throughout the state. And we use that metrics to kind of inform our decision and when will be appropriate for us to add additional students to come in for in-person, or that we might have to pivot the other way to complete remote. So it's important to know that, you know, there's no perfect plan that will satisfy everyone. That is a reality, and I know many families have reached out to me around really having a complete in-person learning, and I also have many families and constituents that also expressed their concern about in-person. So we were trying to find a healthy balance to meet the needs of the entire community and making sure that we are providing rigorous learning opportunities, whether it's remote or in-person or hybrid, for all our students. I do want to give a shout out and thank you to our principals and teachers who have reached out as well around making sure that they are part of the conversation, but also their commitment to our students and families throughout the district. So what defines that group of students that we are calling our priority students? So, you know, we know that over the summer we had some in-person learning opportunities for our students, and the majority of our Holyoke Public School students that participated really had a great experience during that time. So we have selected K-12 students from whom in-person instruction is most essential, and their families will have the option to choose in-person or fully remote. And that group of students includes our students at the Career and Vocational Technical Education at the Dean campus, students with disability in substantial separate classrooms, and English learners identified as newcomers. And newcomers are students who have newly arrived to the mainland US within the last 2 years, and they need additional support to dominate the English language through really intensive instruction. However, throughout the year, we will consider adding students of whom remote learning is less conducive. And so families of selected students will be contacted by the end of this month. I know a lot of phone calls have happened in the last couple of days, and the goal is actually even before the end of the month that all families have been contacted to consider whether they're going to opt in for in-person learning or not, as it relates to the cohort of priority students. However, there are also expectations as it relates to what that curriculum will look like. And so all students and teachers and paraprofessionals and instructional staff, we will supply them with a device, and then the internet will also be provided for students who need it. Starting next week, you will get communication from your schools as it relates to having access to a device. So those families who do not have a device or required connectivity at home will come to their school on a selected day and time to actually pick up a device, as well as the instructions as to the connectivity to be able to access the online modules and all of the supplemental materials that will be available to our families. We are also going to be very intentional of providing professional development for teachers, instructional staff, but also some instructional videos for our families as it relates to how do I navigate this new way of learning called remote learning or e-learning via the internet. There will be structured schedules that will be provided for those who are coming in person, but also those who are actually going to be remote, where students will have interaction with their assigned teacher and making sure that instruction is happening in a very rigorous and intentional manner. It was my charge to my team and to the district that also every student will have assigned to them a caring adult, an employee from Holyoke Public Schools, where they will be checking in from time to time with the families or the students to make sure that they are on task, that we eliminate any challenges and barriers families may be facing, but at the same time also making sure that students are engaged and connected to the learning opportunities that we'll be providing. So my team has been working very, very, very hard day and night, making sure that we are going to create a rigorous opportunity for all our students, whether they opt in for remote or whether they are part of the priority group of students of in-person. So it's important to make sure that you look out for those notifications as it relates to pickup devices, as it relates to accessing the internet. We will continue the program with Comcast, as well as other resources that we will make available to our families. Lunch and breakfast will continue to be provided for our students, whether they are a remote or whether they're in-person district-wide. Information about where those locations will be, as well as actually what is required. It's important for families to understand that you take this opportunity as we prep for kind of unveiling and unrolling all of these action steps as it relates to devices, as it relates to access to meals, to know what is your student ID number, login credentials, and so forth. We will provide information as well as to troubleshoot in any type of situation that families may encounter as it relates to access to content remotely, as well as access to any other services that they may require. For those students who are actually going to be coming into schools for in-person learning, there is also important information for families to review as it relates to the safety protocols that will still need to happen, such as the safety protective gear that or masks that students will need to wear. Also, the protocols that will be in place in schools, such as we would have to still practice social distancing, making sure that families also, before they send their children or their child to school, that they also monitor any symptoms as it relates to the virus. And if a student or staff member demonstrates any type of those symptoms, we are asking them to stay home. We will still continue providing them the necessary learning materials and modules to continue learning at home, but there are going to be requirements as it relates to safety protocols in order for students to participate in programming. I've also been working with community partners as it relates to additional services such as childcare, extracurricular activities, learning centers that will support our families. The Office of Family Engagement is working on an informational flyer as it relates to all of the community partners that have stepped up and have asked me personally, how can I help? So that this will go out to families very soon, so that also families can actually make informed decisions as it relates to childcare, extended care, or any other type of outreach and programs as it relates to the needs of each family. Also in the communication, you will get kind of a detailed frequently asked question page. We have compiled questions from all of the live sessions, surveys, emails, public meetings with the school committee and so forth. And we've addressed each question with an answer, as well as also you will see sample schedules of how the day will look, whether it's in remote learning or whether it's in a cohort on in-person learning based on the criteria for cohort C. So please make sure you take an opportunity to read that information. And if you have any questions, please call us or text us at our hotline at 413-561-0862, or you may complete the contact us form that will be embedded as a link in the communication you'll be receiving very, very soon. Due to the ongoing preventative measures of spreading the COVID virus, the Commonwealth is launching a strategic testing program in communities across Massachusetts that have continued to see higher numbers of residents testing positive for COVID-19. The program has been extended to our city, Holyoke, and the program will support the testing of asymptomatic individuals in these communities to help stop the spread of COVID-19. So if you are a resident of one of these communities, even if you have no COVID symptoms, please get tested to help the spread. The testing will be provided at no cost to you. And for more information, there will be a link in the communication that will be emailed and sent to families around the testing sites, and also more additional information as it relates to this new initiative and program. As a reminder, regardless whether we go remote or not, all students are still required to making sure that they have their immunizations updated. There's also going to be kind of an encouragement around the flu vaccine for all students and employees. We all know that every year we get this, information around the influenza vaccine. However, there will be kind of a strong recommendation as it relates to also considering the influenza vaccine as we get closer to that flu season. As it relates to athletics, the sports guidance was released on August 18th. So we are still awaiting further guidance from our Department of Elementary and Secondary Education on when the final date is to determine whether Holyoke can participate, based on whether Holyoke is in the yellow or in the red category, as I mentioned before, of the matrix. And then what would that mean around participation in sports? I have already been in conversation with Dr. Mahoney, and he is working with his team as it relates to a plan on fall sports. What we do know is actually there are going to be now 4 seasons of sports, which will continue kind of to late spring. So in the case that we are actually not allowed to play sports or contact sports because we fall into the category, or we call the red category, based on the matrix, those sports will be possibly played at a later time or later season. As a reminder, if we don't have your current contact information, so please check your email periodically for updates about reopening. If you have not been receiving our emails, texts, and phone calls to the district messaging system. Please complete the form on the link that is going to be provided in the next Holyoke update. Provide your email, phone number, and text, and your child's name, grade, and school so that we can update our system. You know, we intentionally strive to provide timely communication to keep you informed of all that is happening in our schools. It's important also to know that very soon on our website, we will have a designated section of the website about all the reopening materials, as well as all of the videos and tutorials to support our families and our students during this new academic year. There's also, again, there's also information in the Holyoke update as it relates to food access and community resources. So in an effort to prepare our students and staff for a safe return to school, we are committed to regularly sharing information and best practice resources about health and safety measures to prevent the spread of COVID-19, such as self-care, regular hand washing with soap, wearing a face mask, and maintaining appropriate social distancing. As a reminder, please enroll your student from your computer or smartphone at www.enrollholyoke.com. Take photos of your required documents and upload them on our site, or call 413-561-0862 to make an appointment for assistance on the phone to set up a time to exchange the paperwork with our team. A list of required documents can be found in the hyperlink that will be sent to you in the written communication. Do you have a preschool child, age child? If you're interested in remote learning for your preschool age child, we still have spaces available for upcoming school year. All families in preschool can call our hotline at 413-561-0862 to find where space is available, or you may click on the hyperlink that will be sent to you in the written communication. And if you live outside of Holyoke and are interested in having your student attend Holyoke Public Schools, school choice applications are available online. To learn more, please click the link that will be provided to you in the written communication. We continue to have our social media challenge. With the school year getting ready to ramp up, we hope our Holyoke Public Schools community is taking full advantage of the last weeks of summer. We know the summer must feel a little different this year, but we'd love to see what HPS students, families, and staff have been doing. Send us your picture of summer activities for us to share on the social media as part of the social media challenge. And you can win a gift card to Amazon for some back to school shopping, maybe. It's a couple of news briefs. McMahon honored their rising high schoolers. Students and families drove by to see their teachers and school staff cheering them on. You can watch that wonderful video on the YouTube link that has been sent to you via the written communication. Some upcoming events and important reminders for the calendar. So please mark your calendars. On September 21st will be the next school committee meeting at 6 p.m. On September 14th, school will begin for students from grades 1 through 12. Again, September 14th, school will begin for students in grades 1 to 12, and September 21st, school will begin for students in grades pre-K. This would allow us, pre-K and K, this will allow us to provide the professional development and training to all our staff, teachers, principals prior to the school year, as well as all the logistical requirements that are required to have in place as we welcome students back, as well as allowing us to deliver devices to families, setting them up with their students, and making sure everything is in place so we can have a smooth kickoff to the new school year. It's also important to know that we will have a staggered start for in-person learning for select students. Those students, again, as a reminder, will be notified by the end of this month. If you have not yet been notified, the tentative schedule for gradual entry is based on enrollment and staffing. And so September 14th, the high school programs, our career vocational technical education program will start, and select special education populations such as TIP, RISE, Functional, and SHINE, as well as newcomers in grades 9 through 12, and Transition Academy will start on the 14th. On September 21st, grades K to 8 newcomers, PEC, School, TIP, and SHINE, and Veritas Prep Functional will start. And on September 28th, STEM Academy, the LLD ABL, Lawrence TIP program, the Sullivan School RISE and SHINE, and Donahue ABL program will commence. Some reminders: if you have borrowed an HPS owned Chromebook, please charge, connect to Wi-Fi, and log into it at least once between now and the start of the school year. It is necessary to keep the Chromebooks updated and ready for the start of the new school year. Preferably, they are left logged in and connected to Wi-Fi for at least 15 minutes. We continue to also have summer learning resources. Families who are looking for ways to keep your students engaged in learning through the summer, check out the Barnes & Noble Summer Reading Program, as well as the Holyoke Public Library Summer Program, the Scholastic Summer Read Palooza, as well as the listing of suggested learning resources at the link that is provided in a written communication that will be sent to you. If you have not completed the census, as a reminder, please complete the census. It is quick, easy, and important. The census count impacts the federal funds that our community receives for special education, classroom technology, teacher training, after-school programs, lunch assistance, and much more. More information for families will be embedded in a hyperlink in the communication that will be sent to you. Currently, census takers are in the streets visiting households that have not filled out their census. If you respond online or by phone today, the census taker is less likely to have to visit your home or to collect the response. So if you haven't done so, please take the opportunity, click on that link, fill out your census. Again, as a reminder, work permits. Any student that needs a work permit can reach out to our enrollment team at enrollment@hps.holyoke.ma.us. You can provide they can provide families with the initial application, and once the application is submitted, the official work permit is issued. If your child does not attend Holyoke Public Schools, you will also need to email a copy of the child's birth certificate or a passport as proof of age when you email the initial application. Also, as a reminder, opt in for texting from 413 Families H. Sign up for 413 Families H to join our community-based texting program and receive information about HPS activities, events, and summer learning, reading, and math challenges. Opt in today by texting 413 Families H to 313131. So this is my time. I will now answer a couple of questions. So one question is, my daughter has an IEP and says it's better for her to do in person. How can I help her? So if the IEP is requesting in person, please reach out to our Office of Student Pupil Services. A staff member will assist you. If not, please use also the contact form, or you may call my office, and we will make sure that we connect you with the appropriate person to address that need. So will accommodation be made for students who don't yet have IEPs developed if they are struggling and evals have been put off? So evals will continue virtually, but if there is an urgent requirement, please reach out to the Office of Pupil Personnel Services, and they will assist you around either accommodating an IEP meeting, which will be conducted virtually, or we will make sure that we will address the need based on the recommendations. So one of the so it is much more important for students to make connections with their peers than to worry about rigorous learning. Meeting their social emotional needs should be considered before worrying about learning. Absolutely, I totally agree with that with that comment. Our plan is very intentional. There is a social and emotional component to our plan. That's why it's more. That's why there will be opportunities for students to have some type of peer interaction with their class as well as with their teacher. This would not look the same as what we experienced in the spring. There will be opportunities for students to engage in a very safe environment, whether that's virtually or if they're in the small group setting in our priority students of in person. But we will try our best, and we are going to do our best in making sure we also address the social and emotional needs of our students, what I'm calling our disengaged youth, and making sure that they're engaged and we are meeting their social emotional needs. So the thought of the full day remote with two students, so the schedule would allow for synchronous and asynchronous. So that would allow families to adapt to kind of the changes. The plan is not that students will have to be virtually all day. There will be portions of the day that they will be virtually or synchronous learning, and there will be others that they will be asynchronous. But we want to make sure that we also are meeting the family's needs, as we know many families are working, but also making sure that we provide them with the opportunities and flexibilities in a learning environment. So will remote learning continue to be an option when schools move to in-person learning and there are still cases, or will we have to send them back? So that is an everyday conversation. It depends on the data. And so if the data is favorable for a certain amount of time, there are time components to reviewing the data. It's not that we one day will go in person and or one week we'll go in person and the following week we'll go remote. We will try to do a phase-in approach in making sure that we are intentional and less disruptive in the learning opportunities for our students. But in the event that actually cases actually for a period of time look favorable to the district, then we will move into in-person learning. Will pre-K students receive a device? Yes. We have ordered, actually, they wouldn't, pre-K, the younger grades, pre-K to first grade or second grade, will receive a tablet instead of a laptop. So all those students who will opt in, who go remote or in person, will receive that type of device. So will remote learning be recorded for working parents so they can do school with their kids after work? Yeah, so there will be opportunities for sessions to actually be recorded, as well as if students are going to go in the asynchronous module, there'll probably be pre-recorded assignments or lessons to support our students and families, as well as a reminder, also tutorials on an ongoing basis for families of how to actually create engaging learning environments at home. Is there a chance kids will go back to school this year, or will they be out until at least January? So that's a great question. We're looking at it on a monthly basis. I cannot predict that we're going to go to January. Our focus is, as the data or the cases decrease, that we can bring as many students, or if not all students, back to in-learning as quickly as possible, as we know that's also a priority. But at the same time, we want to make sure we do it in a safe and responsible way. How will people without vehicles get lunches if food delivery is not available, as mentioned? So we will open all our sites for meals. So the closest site that is to a family will be available for students. So it's not that they would have to go to a home school. We will try to accommodate our families so that they can go to the nearest school to receive a meal if they are on a remote learning model. I heard about the back to school supply thing is going at 11 schools. Yes, so very soon, within the next couple of days, working with the Sheriff's Department, we will announce the 11 school sites and also the protocols. They will have to be safety protocols as it relates to the back to school supply drive that is done every year. Usually it's actually in one location. This year we would have to spread out and 11 at 11 sites will be school sites, and that information will be coming in the next couple of days. Will students have to take the MCAS this year? That is, we have not received any additional guidance as it relates to that. It is a question that we have into the state as well as other districts. As soon as that guidance is released of what that will look like as it relates to assessments, state assessments, I will be sharing that with the community immediately. So yes, so there's a question around making sure that the devices. So the devices have been ordered and secured. What we're waiting for is any day now is the delivery notice. So the goal is actually by the time the pre-K students and kindergarten students start, the devices will be in place. But the order has been placed a month or two ago, and as you know, we are competing with many districts throughout the country who are ordering devices. But I am very hopeful that we will have the devices before the start of the school years for the little ones. Keep in mind that I was very intentional this year with my team to make sure that every student has access to a device. And not that we were assigning it to families, but I wanted to make sure that, and the device is actually age appropriate. How do you like being a receiver so far through the chaos? Feel kind of um, bad having you starting here this way. Well, like my mother's always has taught me and my siblings, there's a purpose for everything. And I really believe that I'm here. I'm at this moment and been asked to be here on behalf of my new family, my Holyoke family, to get the community through this pandemic. I am committed. I love this community. I fell in love, even though a lot of it is virtual. Um, um, I do love the community, and the kids have been amazing. I just seeing a few of the students, many of the students actually virtually now. I've been inspired of their resilience, their commitment to learning, as well as the community. How many community partners, community leaders, families have reached out to me and shared their stories, and but as well also has said, how can I help? And that to me is inspiring. I am mission driven. I've always been mission driven. Yeah, I was a school administrator through 9/11. I've been in a district administrator through hurricanes. And so here I am, through a pandemic. And so life has always demonstrated to me that the impossible is always possible. And so there is a light at the end of this tunnel. There are a lot of great celebrations as well that is happening that we need to kind of showcase to our community. And so I am here on behalf of the students and committed to our students and families, and we will get through this together because we are Holyoke strong, and we will create great stories, many celebrations, and we will do this together. So if you have a lone Chromebooks right now, you can keep that Chromebook. Just a reminder around making sure that you charge the Chromebook connected to the Wi-Fi, and you will stay with that you can stay with that Chromebook for the remainder of the academic year. Will there be flexibility for remote learners for parents who work? Um, I'm not sure what that means around flexibility around. I'm not sure if it's attendance or is it expectations, but please reach out to me or my communications department, and I will make sure that myself or someone from my team contacts you directly for that question. So I just wanted to, I don't see additional questions, so I want to thank you for your time this evening. I'm excited to start the school year, even though it's a unique school year. Um, know that we are in this together. I appreciate the emails and the conversations. If there's any other additional questions, please know you can reach out to me, to my team, via email using the hotline, and we will respond within 48 hours to your questions. Please keep also, as a reminder, a look out for that frequently asked question as it relates to the schedules, and many of these other questions that have surfaced in the past have been answered in that frequently asked questions, and we'll continue to update it as we continue to revise that frequently asked questions. So can parents who teach within HPS bring their own HPS students with them to monitor learning? At this point, we're not allowing. We are in conversations with the Department of Health. It is a risk, but it is an ongoing conversation. But at this time, what I can say is it's not being considered that people can bring their children or family members to a building as we have some safety protocols in place for our own employees and our own students. So the frequently asked questions will be attached to the update that will be sent to you any moment now within the next couple of hours. So it will be included there. So the hotline did not end. I kept it open for this time, so it will remain active. The hotline will remain active. So thank you for your time this evening. Hope everyone is staying safe, enjoying the last days of summer. Um, know that you are in my thoughts and in my prayers, and know that I'm excited to start off this school year as your proud superintendent, and making sure that we provide, multiple opportunities for our students to have an experience. So please keep in contact, keep reading our information, and reach out if you have any other questions. Have a great evening and a great rest of your week. Take care.